She like I'm thick, call me Robin. Been on my shit, not the potty. Sick of staying in, I wanna party. Won't apologize for being me, I'm sorry. You can call me, I think you my type of feast. You know that us thick boys like to eat. Chabella poi, vanilla qui. Turn the heat up, ignite the street. Thick boy summer, tip top form. Been in the crib like I just got born. Is that your girl? Tell her hit my phone. She can press record, get a TikTok on. Thick boy summer, thick, 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 thick boy summer. She like I'm thick, thick, thick boy summer, thick, thick boy summer, thick, thick boy.
Thank you, everybody. Again, welcome to Party and Politics. I am your host, Tony Vincent. With me, I have a very special guest. His name is Samson Shulman. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's correct. You got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
From The Connection is Magic. Are we calling it a podcast? Is it more of a show?
Wow. It's a platform. Connection
Platform,
Magic,
baby.
Platform.
Platform, baby. It's a we're doing things big in 2021, baby. This ain't a podcast. This is a platform.
We had to bring the spirit of DJ Khaled in.
Yeah, we taking the ceilings off. We breaking off the hinges.
Oh man, we're off to a great start, bro. Let's go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's go. Let's get it. So yeah, man, just to kind of get right into it, me and you, what we were just talking about is how I became aware of you and we kind of became aware of each other in the same realm of, you know, I did recently a podcast with Jake Bass, the son of Jeff Bass, and you did one with Jeff Bass, and they both kind of somehow found each other on YouTube. And you know, I had yours and everything. And what's interesting about that one was I learned so much about you, you know, through your Jeff Bass interview. And so that's really where I want to start is, you know, your whole story is that you were a A&R, you were in the music business before you went into the doing your own platform, that whole thing. So going back in time, even before that, you know, in terms of your background, what does, like, you know, you came from the Detroit area, obviously, and I've talked about this.
Baby.
Born and raised, baby. The murder mitten. Let's get it. 313.
I love it, bro. Yeah.
But yeah, and I was talking about this on another podcast. The entertainment industry is not something we're like bred to become part of here. It's you know, you're gonna get a job, you maybe in tech now, but even growing up, you know, somehow part of the auto industry or some branch of that. Like it just isn't. It's just alien to us. So growing up here, what is the journey to going into the music industry?
Yo. Thank you for asking that. That's a brilliant question. I'll summarize that in a very short, powerful way. I got 5 lawyers in my immediate family.
Okay.
You know, like dad, uncle, brother, cousin, you know, the whole deal. And that's all I thought naturally, right? I was like, yo, gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And when I got my acceptance to go to law school, bro, I noticed that they were more excited about that than I was. And I'm like, all right, I got to hit the brakes right now. Now, the universe, I don't know if you're like a universe timing guy, like, holy shit, like the timing, yo, you gotta be, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, the timing was bananas, bro, I just happened to find out about this job called A&R, which people listening might not know. So we'll say it's artists and repertoire. They're the people at the record labels that sign new talent, right? And I was like, holy shit, people get a paycheck to do this? I got this got to be my life mission. So those two things really happened really, you know, soon after each other, and then literally said no to law school and packed up the car and out to LA I went. I should add one more thing, and this is a cool Detroit fact right now. My dad was actually a child prodigy on the piano. So he played with the Detroit Symphony when he was literally 9. So it's been, you know, it's been in the blood, bro. So I feel like I kind of, you know, I've always had a thing with like being able to identify like dope artists early, you know, And I got to think that that's, you know, probably comes from Pops. You know?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
So two things.
Yeah.
You said Detroit facts, so we're going to take a pause here. Hashtag Detroit facts, baby. Hashtag, that's going to be a new thing. Hashtag Detroit facts. I love it.
Detroit facts.
We're going to have a whole nother thread for that. And then the thing about your dad too, which is really interesting, because you did mention that in your Jeff Bass interview.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, you know, your whole thing, spotting that talent. One thing I have a question, and maybe you don't know this, but I have to imagine you've had some conversation with your dad. Your dad being a prodigy in music that young, did he have dreams of doing that professionally when he got older?
Yeah, like he did, and he carried it. You know, dude, he went all over the world, like Carnegie Hall in New York, like Europe, the whole deal. But his older brother, when he just started, I got brothers, right? So when he had his first kid, his older brother was a lawyer, and he like dangled this like $200,000 check in front of him. It's like, yo, come this way.
Yeah.
And my dad walked off that path, and I'll tell you what, man, he ended up having some real substance abuse problems, alcohol issues, and I'm telling you, I feel like there's a statistic that there's more alcoholic lawyers than like any other profession.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
stressful.
sure.
You know, it's just.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah.
No, you answered that perfectly, because that was exactly what I was looking for. So did part of that help kind of push you away from being a lawyer as well? Like, oh, I'm seeing right early that I'm not happy with this. I'm bouncing. Like this is, I'm not even gonna get any deeper in this path.
Yo, that's really a good observation. Yup. I was thinking, it's so funny, man, how history repeats itself, because my uncle, which was my father's brother, came to me and tried to do the same shit to me.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. It's just crazy. He's like, I got my acceptance, and I was like, yo, now I have choices. And they were like, he was like, what choice? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I just happened to be, look, man, it took incredible amounts of courage to like leap from Detroit, not knowing a soul really in LA. It took incredible courage. And I feel like, what's the word, man? There's a quote that I like about this, which is like leaders and entrepreneurs are visionaries with a poorly developed sense of fear and no concept of the odds against them. They make the impossible happen. And that shit is so true, right?
Oh yeah.
Anybody that was like, oh wait, you don't know anybody and you think you're gonna get a job in music, you know, and you heard me share a little bit in the thing, right, where I'm like calling Interscope Records and I'm getting hung up on, dude. They're hanging up on me. So anyways, that's a little bit about how I made that leap and the things that I had to sort of push through to make that. That's
a perfect segue, man, because and a little insight from, you know, my background a little bit. So, you know, I, as someone who's been on the artist side of things, trying to break into the industry, that whole thing, you know, I moved out to LA as well. I lived out there in 2013 for a bit. And, you know, it's crazy because I would meet a lot of people who were working for Interscope or this different thing, but they were interns, and they were like, you know, we could get you in. But my dumb brain was like, no, if I start being an intern, then they're going to always look at me like that. They're not going to look at me like an artist. So I was like, I better be on the outs. I need to be an outsider.
But
and that was my
dumb. I don't know if that's dumb though, because there's truth to that, right? They would be like, well, this dude, I mean, bro, I was at Interscope for years, and I'm telling you, there were intern rappers.
Yeah.
And they were trying to go, like two of them that I was really close with, actually. And I was like, they were trying to do it, and it was like, it just isn't kind of the same. Something about it feels like disingenuous or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah. You're kind of an insider, and it's like you don't get to. It's such a weird thing, and that's a lot of where I want to dig with you in this, because, you know, and that would be part of my thing too, is I would be talking to these people and I'd be like, okay, how does a record deal happen? How do you do this? And a lot of them couldn't really give me an answer. Like it was like, and they probably were kind of low on the totem pole. I'm pretty sure. Probably new.
Yeah.
And, but I was like, man, like why is it so mysterious? Like out of all the things, and, you know, I would talk to a lot of people because there's so many people who work in the industry out there. And like even the idea of people that do get signed, some of them get shelved for like ever. They just never hear of them.
It gets grimier than that. Grimier than that. Sometimes a label will see a competing artist and they'll sign this new artist just to shelve them so they don't compete with like their They're artists that they're trying to break right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so for me, bro, like I'm a real like I don't know, I'm like a real down to earth guy, and some of the shit that I saw was just savagery. I'm like, yo, this is savage shit, and I'm not that guy, you know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think it's just interesting, like my career path. Just to segue for a second, but I was really can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck
Oh
yeah.
yeah, awesome. That's awesome.
Detroit facts.
All right.
Hashtag Detroit facts.
That's great. So I was just, if I wasn't as fucking great, I think, at what I was doing, which was identifying talent and being able to work with artists, I don't think I would have lasted like literally 2 months in the industry, bro.
Yeah.
I just happened to be really fucking good at what I did. And that fucking allowed me to propel a little bit, you know? But
yeah. Yeah. And you probably, I have to imagine, because, you know, you talked about how you started making phone calls. Was it like the difference between working for Interscope and starting out there versus Quicken Loans, right? That's what I'm going to compare it to. It's probably not like, was it? I'm sure there wasn't like an online application, right? You just had to keep knocking on these doors till you eventually got a meeting, kind of thing.
Bro, like my stomach drops like as I think about this right now, dude. Like, yeah, I must have called like probably, I'm not kidding, maybe 25 times over the course of like 6 months, and I was like, ridiculous to like spend that much time like feeling humiliated.
Yeah.
But like they laughed at me one time. They're like, dude, you got to know somebody to get through here. And and then I'm literally driving. I say fuck it, I'm just gonna leap, you know. And as I'm driving from Arizona into like California, I get a hold of a temp. You know what a temp is, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was a temp.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Temp could be kind of dope, actually. Like,
Shout out to X Prize. Shout out to X Prize.
So the temp answered the phone, and somehow I get through the temp, and she's like, actually, there's an A&R intern opening like right now. Like if you send me your resume, like I'll get you in line for like an interview.
Yeah.
So, bro, there were like Kinko's was still like happening then. So I pulled my shit over, went to Kinko's, faxed my resume, and I got the interview. And I remember I wore like a nice ass suit like day one, because I was still coming from that law school world, you know.
Yeah.
Internships at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Shout out.
Shout out. Detroit facts, baby.
Detroit facts. So yo, I wore the suit, you know, did the interview, and then the girl was like, yeah, don't ever wear that suit again. I was like, okay, word. So funny. So yeah, where do you want to go next? Where we at?
So basically that's the interview. You get the job, even though you were a suit, but they're like, we're going to give this. Yeah, we're going to give this suit a try. So that happens now. Like, see again, and this is the whole dynamic of every step of this is so interesting, because I'm sure it's, again, not a stereotypical job like anything else, where I can't imagine any kind of training period of like, you know, here's how to be an A&R. And here's my understanding, and you can tell me where I'm wrong. So as an A&R, in a sense, it's kind of a sales position, in the sense that you have to go find an artist, and then if the record label decides to actually go through with the record contract, you get some type of cut of that, if I'm understanding that correctly.
You can get points. It can happen, but I'll be honest, it happened a little bit more back in the day, like in the 70s and the 80s. The points wasn't happening as much. It did. You had to negotiate that. I would say the points were like 50-50, and then that's just like a royalty or whatever. But it's funny because my mentor signed No Doubt, you know, Gwen Stefani, and it was like he had the opportunity to take points, and he's like, it's all good, we'll get on the next one. 25 million albums sold, bro. Like I would have, oh shit. But that sucked, I know. But yo, where was I going with that? So yeah, I mean that answers your question. Yeah, so it was happening like half the time, and yes, you did have to, like, even when the artist was signed to the label, bro, you still had to rally the troops. It was on you to rally the troops. The marketing guy, the radio guy,
get everybody organized and everything.
Yeah, you got to get them excited about it, and keep them excited about it. So, you know, there's an interesting thing, right, that I'll tell you. I don't know if you know this happens or not, but it's worth mentioning. when you lose your A&R person at the record label, it's like the kiss of death. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. And that happened to me twice. Like L.A. Reid, if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Big, yeah. He signed my first artist personally to Def Jam and like was gone 6 months later.
Wow.
So, anyways, that whole thing just kind of unraveled, you know, as you can imagine. And then I had the craziest shit. I had another artist signed by the president, dude, not an A&R, but the president of Elektra Records, which is the Doors and legendary label.
Yeah.
Same shit happened, bro. Same shit happened. He was there for like 10 months, gone. I mean, he was there for 3 years, but it just happened. I caught him in the last 10 months of the shit.
the last 10,
yeah. So the shit, I mean, really, it's like Vegas, bro. It's kind of insane that the luck that you need, it's like Powerball lottery ticket luck in a way. Like, great example, my homie was in a hip-hop duo called You and I, okay, like in a 2010 11, that sort of range, 2009 to, dude, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole were opening for them, for my buddy's thing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And they were the shit, you know, my friend and his partner, the duo, and they got signed to the whole thing, and they didn't break out of it. You know, Universal signed them, didn't break out of it. What happens, like within like 2 years, like K-Dot, you know, K-Dot was Kendrick, and obviously Kendrick. So it's like, but at the time, bro, like, who would have seen that coming?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah,
especially him, because he seemed his flow was kind of weird. It was non-traditional. It was
weird.
Nobody would have expected that.
That's what I'm trying to say, bro.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off.
No, you're good. I just want to say one last thing, and then this is important. So it's like, you're a podcaster, and I'm a podcaster, and I feel like, is that kind of like our little field right now with this podcasting? Is it kind of like that? Like, are podcasts breaking out of the pack? Like I don't know. You tell me, bro. I mean, I've been at this hardcore for like only the last like 3 months, you know, like super hardcore. So yeah, I don't know. I just, or at least you comment for me on the comparison, right, between podcasters and artists. I would love to hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like the way that I'm seeing things right now is like being a musician or being an artist. Like, I got to the point, and even back then when I was like hardcore pursuing it, it was my number one mission. I was doing everything to try to do it. My long-term vision was always like, being a rapper is going to be, I'm going to have a 4-year career as a rapper. Then I want to get into the movie industry. I want to write TV shows. I want to write movies. Hip hop is always my love. It's always my number one love. But it was like, there's so much, I have so many ideas. Like, it's bigger than the music.
Wow.
And now, because the record industry is completely upside down, and like, you know, it's so hard to make money off of, I think, music itself, and with the 360 deals, which I'm going to ask you about how all this works. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, I still like to make music. I do that for fun. You know, I put an album out, all this kind of stuff, and I'm doing this. I love this whole media. And the way I look at it is like, we're in this kind of ever-changing world of, it's really all about content right now. So, you know, whether you're Twitch streaming, you know, you got people playing video games online, making millions of dollars a year. You have kids, literally all they do is make videos of themselves opening toys and playing with toys. And, you know, that Ryan kid, what is he clearing? Like 10 mil, you know, a year, something like that, maybe even more. So I think it's really like content. So being a content creator, that's the biggest thing. And even if you are a musician, I have to imagine that if you are signed to a label, there's got to be some pressure from that label to generate income through an alternate stream. I mean, I have to imagine that.
Well, I think you mean today. Like, no, today I think they're just doing licensing deals, bro. They're just waiting for an artist to pop, and then it kind of behooves the artist and the label. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, now a label doesn't have to like gamble, you know, like $1 million on a new artist necessarily, because they already know it's buzzing, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's buzzing. So maybe we're not going to give you $1 million, but maybe we'll license your project for like 250,000 or something like that,
Yeah.
And it takes the guesswork out of it. And then the artist gets like ownership. In my opinion, it's kind of a win-win, honestly, because artists were signing their lives away, bro.
Oh yeah. And that's what,
so I don't know.
That's what I really wanted to ask you about, because it seemed like when I really became aware of a lot of this stuff, I was into a lot of underground hip hop and stuff. But by the time I'm hearing about these guys, they're, got their own tour schedule, their own merch. So their whole thing was, we really don't need a label. And then, Macklemore, the whole thing with him and him blowing up and everything. But it got to the point where it's like, if the way the game is that a label is not going to offer you a deal until you're already generating a giant amount of income for yourself, it almost seems like it almost makes them obsolete. So is it like when you were there, because you were really early, 2010 kind of thing is when your time frame was there?
Yeah, like
that's
Spotify. I got like Spotify.
Yeah.
I think I left in like 2011 and a half or something like that. So
okay.
The subscription thing didn't, wasn't really popping like it is now.
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't mean to like throw your.
No, that's a great thing. That's a great thing too, because I want to get your opinion on that eventually. But so when you were there, was the only way an artist would get signed is if they already had a giant net of income from their own source, or could it still be, hey, this person sounds dope, I want to sign them?
No,
regardless of their following.
It was the first thing you said. The first thing you said, it was about how much hype you have, not about, to be clear, not about how much money you're generating, but about how much hype you have.
Okay. So if you got a buzz, but you may not be making a living off of it yet. I got you.
I'm telling you, the harder you were buzzing, typically the more money you were able to command during your record deal. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. That's very eye-opening. Now, is it because there was one thing I had this question regarding we were talking about this because this is kind of a fun thing, kind of going back to like my idea of how the music business works with artists, and this is what I wanted your take on too. So like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around the way that the business works, because it's all the entertainment industry, right? Whether you're a comedian, whether you're an actor, an actress, in the movies, athlete, in my opinion, it's all entertainment, right? Yeah. But it seems like the music business is the only business where the main person has like a loan model. And so like, it's like when they first signed LeBron James, they didn't know how big he was going to be. It wasn't like, hey, if you don't win a championship, you got to pay that money we paid you back. So what is the justification for like an artist, that whole loan concept?
First of all, you don't have to pay the money back.
Okay, so that's a misconception.
That's a misconception. When you get dropped, I was working with an artist who had, like a $500,000 recording budget, and they ended up dropping the artist when only like 250 of it was used, and like literally just cut a check like 250. Like they actually paid the artist the remaining unused portion of the recording fund.
And he could use whatever he wanted with that, essentially?
Free and clear. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's not so I don't know. That's news to you, I guess. You didn't know that it worked like that. Yeah. And then I was working on another artist at Interscope. See, that was from a management capacity. I was managing that artist, but I also was A&Ring. There was an artist, with terrible name, awesome girl. So I feel bad saying that, but terrible name. Her name was Valeria. And, yeah, and sounds just like malaria. It's crazy, bro. But
surprised it didn't catch on.
No, bravo. Dude, she was on label for 5 years, never really put out an album, and we kicked her $750K. That was it. Crazy.
Wow.
That's a good payday. I don't know. I mean,
that's
crazy. So
no, that's crazy. So do you think the loan idea, does that idea get thrown around because really if you actually stay successful,
if you stay on the label, you got to pay it back. But like if they drop you don't.
Then you just wow. Yeah. So really the loan thing isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if you're having to pay it back, that means you had a successful run, and then you're going on to your sophomore probably project, and then are you getting loaned more money for the sophomore project? Essentially,
yes. Yeah. It always goes up. Yeah, it always goes up.
Yeah.
It's called the option. Like labels want the option. It's like like 2 records with like 3 options or something like that, they call it. And statistically, most artists like don't make it to a second album, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I mean, when I was talking to Jake, we were talking about how lucky people. I mean, one-hit wonders get made fun of a lot, but do you know how lucky you are to have one hit, let alone multiple, let alone an album, let alone multiple albums. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's there's got to be crazy things, and so getting a record deal really is just one step of the entire thing.
See why I said like 5 minutes ago, whenever I said it's like kind of like the Powerball. Like, to become Kendrick Lamar, it's literally like the Powerball, because how many like, dude, you and I both probably love Kendrick. I would imagine we respect him, but like, you got to admit, there's probably so many talented artists out there, bro. Almost at that level that like we'll never know who they are. So it's crazy. It's a wild thing and stuff. And it seems like, what's good, I guess, about the internet now is I feel like now I can't say this wholeheartedly, but I feel like I'm at least 70% right when I say this. I feel like there is an audience. There's so many human beings in the world that have access to the internet 100%. That really, if you can get just a tiny percentage to be your fans, you can make a career out of whatever you want. Essentially, I just got an email from a guy in Brazil who's a fan of the podcast. Like, that's kind of insane. Like,
that is
bro, you're gonna get that email from Geneva 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the dude talking about he's an Ethiopian prince. He needs to sign you over $1 million check, but first he needs your banking info,
He needs that. That's great, bro. Oh shit.
Absolutely, man. So, and this is because, speaking of that whole, so the advance is, do you, like, when people talk about the advance, that is there a portion, like, this is what I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, let's say, I get a record deal, right? And I get the advance. At what point is everything I'm doing really about, okay, I hope I do numbers so then I can profit? Or is there any of that money that, I know that you mentioned that they just kick some money if they drop an artist, but is there any money that's officially like, this artist did this amount of work or did this amount of whatever, so this is their money. They don't have to pay this back. This isn't, money that's part of this. It's just like official money earned. Like, how is the only way earned money happens is if they sell records and profit off those record sales? Like, how does that all get determined?
I mean, we're forgetting about the biggest revenue stream for artists, which is like touring, merch. Prior to COVID, that was where the money's made, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there was this famous saying that said, artists back in the day used to tour so that they could sell albums. And then today's music, it flipped where, now they're just, they got an album out so they can tour. It literally flipped. So that was interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure too, back in the day, what it seemed to happen is that there would be like, especially if you see those old Led Zeppelin tour posters and there's like a bunch of bands on there, like they probably just booked these gigantic things. So like, even if you were a just signed artist, you would generate a fan base by just saying, okay, you're going on tour right away. And like, we haven't even released an album yet.
With like a bigger artist, right?
Yeah.
Although there, it's interesting. There was one story I'll never forget. I was friends with, Mike Posner's attorney.
Yeah.
And they turned down like the Lil Wayne tour. Like, this was like 2011 or whatever, when Wayne was like kind of the biggest artist, or 2010. So he's like, he didn't think it was the right audience, but anyways.
Yeah. And sometimes I guess you make those determinations, but they must have been in some type of position to be able to do that, though,
I know. Yeah, I know. It just seems crazy to turn down a Lil Wayne tour back then.
Yeah. So. And a story that do you know of Jensen Karp?
Dude, no, I don't. Who's that?
So he went by the rapper named Hot Carl. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is he came out with a book called Kanye West Owes Me, I think it's $200 or $500, something like that.
That's the title?
Yeah, that's the title of the book. Yeah.
Great title.
Yeah. So what happened was, and this is, I've heard this kind of story from a few different perspectives. I don't know how true it is, but it at least has some validity. So apparently in the late 90s, all the record labels were like in a race to sign like the next white rapper or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
So all these white rappers got signed and they almost did nothing. So there's this guy, Hot Carl. I don't know if he was from California, where he was from, but he never made music ever in his life. But there was this radio show that was having like people call in and freestyle funny raps. And he just called in and just did this like super goofy. He didn't even have a rap name. He literally won this freestyle radio competition. They go, "What's your rap name?" And he goes, Hot Carl, and just made this funny like thing off Urban Dictionary, like his rap name. And apparently Jimmy Iovine somehow heard that and signed this guy to $1 million record deal off of Hot Carl, off of that. So all of a sudden he's got this $1 million record deal. He's working with like craziest producers at the time, Just Blaze, all the names. And Kanye West was big as a producer. He wasn't big as an artist, but as a producer. So Kanye West is one of the producers on this guy's album. So they spent all this money on this album. And eventually they sign Eminem while this is happening. And so somehow along the line, like Eminem became the one they decided to go forward with. I don't know. Obviously there's parts of this business stuff that I don't know, but he got dropped essentially. And that album never came out. I mean, they spent $1 million on this thing and it never saw the light of day.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. That's so crazy. If you only knew, bro. First of all, that's hilarious. Just say that. But if you only knew the money that was wasted at record labels, it would blow your mind. I'm sure it just blow your mind. Artists get signed and then they spend X amount of money, and then like we said, most of the time the record doesn't even come out. So it just seems like such a waste to me.
Yeah, it seems like there definitely could be a better way of managing that. And the thing that too, like, so, when the budget of the album is being set, like the advance, that's kind of meant to be spent on some of this record, isn't it? I mean, or is it just meant to be used for living expenses?
There's like the in-pocket advance, and then there's like, the recording fund, you know what I mean? And like kind of like I said, like whatever doesn't get used from the recording fund does go into the artist's pocket. So it's like you can get a $500,000 recording fund, if you can somehow make an amazing album for 200 and convince the label that this is it, they'll probably send you back and say go spend some more money, go work with like Timberland or whoever. What a dated reference I just gave.
Hey, he's one of the greatest. He's still one of the greatest, man, for sure.
He is. And he's active, but believe it or not, he's still pretty active. So, I don't know if you're up on Clubhouse. Are you aware of Clubhouse?
I'm aware of Clubhouse. I haven't joined yet. I haven't got the VIP, the invitation.
I'll send you an invite, bro.
All right, perfect, man.
Yeah. But yeah, he was on there doing like a group like lecture, and it was crazy how much he knew, bro.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was like actually big upping Twitch. And I haven't made it to Twitch. I don't know much about Twitch, but
I started a Twitch and stuff. I'm still kind of figuring that those grounds out. But my little brother, he's a big gamer, so he's become Twitch affiliate, and that's when they start kind of generating some revenue and stuff like that. So he's
a millionaire now because he was in gaming.
Yeah, man. Who would have thought?
It's a crazy world we're living in, bro. It's a crazy world
for sure. All you got, I mean, if you can get that audience, man, and the right timing and everything, man, it is wild. But so like, and that's because I know a lot of people, I mean, myself and obviously so many people who are pursuing the music industry or just people who kind of are curious how it works. So like, because there has to be artists, right, that get that budget and they just don't spend it responsibly at all, right? I mean, that has to be a common thing. Because I know if you gave me $500,000 and you told me, especially when I was in my 20s.
Let me qualify that.
Okay.
You got the A&R at the label that kind of oversees your spending of
that money. So you get like an allowance maybe?
Yeah, it's like, yo, what are we doing here? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like let me go all right, we're trying to work with Pharrell. Let me go grab $75K out of this budget and like run this through. Yeah, no. It's not.
It's not like
that.
you
It's
don't
not
just
that.
give the artist like a suitcase full of money, like
It's not-
spend
dude,
that responsibly.
Dude, they'd be like Tyrone Biggums from the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I would be, man. I would be. That money would be gone in Vegas in a night, bro.
Exactly. Yo, let me get some more budget.
Yeah.
Tyrone Biggums, dude. Yeah, no. Everything. There's A&R admin. You know, I remember when I was in A&R there, we would always have to go. We have to run it through A&R admin. So like, it would be us and A&R. Be like, all right, we're gonna need this. Then you need signatures, bro. Like, because when I got in the business, money was really, the labels were hemorrhaging money and going into the red. They were in the red every year. Like, labels weren't profiting for a while.
Yeah.
So like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, in like the 70s, I feel like in the 80s they were like looser a little bit. You know, where I feel like you could just, the A&R could probably just push things through. But now, bro, when I was there, we needed like 5 signatures from like, bro, Jimmy had to sign off on shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it wasn't like that in the 80s, I don't think.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, you got into it post the Napster, post the, people downloaded music. And I know when that came out, I remember seeing the people on TV like, fuck you if you have a computer. Like, they were mad at people who had a computer, like cussing really? People out. Yeah, no, I remember Eminem, Dr. Dre, all these guys they had, and Metallica, they were some of the most famous for like
yes,
going on their rants against it.
Fuck. Yeah. But then you're like a rich rock star telling like the person go fuck yourself. It's not good. But I was one of my personal attorneys has been Dr. Dre and Metallica's lawyer forever. They were the lawyers that sued Napster, bro.
Oh wow, holy shit.
I heard some cool stories there a little bit. One of the stories, he actually represented Blurred Lines. Remember like the Blurred Lines lawsuit? It was like
the whole
Marvin Gaye. It was massive.
Yeah.
So he represented Pharrell and Robin Thicke in that case, and I got to hear from him. It was so interesting. Like, just one thing that he said, which is worth mentioning, he was like, they were being sweated by like Marvin Gaye's attorneys, but there was no lawsuit filed yet. And then he was just like, yeah, we filed the lawsuit here in LA because we didn't want to end up in court with hillbillies in Nashville. That's where was so funny. I mean, shit, that's funny. So, but
that is funny.
They ended up losing the case though, which was public. And it's just interesting that how much money can be made just if you're a songwriter, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it almost seems like that's I mean, I guess again depending on who you are, but not having a tour, because I know a lot of people, I remember coming up as a performer and stuff, there'd be so many people who are like, I hate this, I don't want to perform, I just want to make music.
Touring sucks, I just want to be in the studio creating. And it's funny because one of my buddies, well, I mean, maybe this is like a little different than that idea, but similar. He's managing a writer right now, a hip hop writer that's got like 2 records in the top 10. Like, she's crushing it.
Oh wow.
And they kind of came up together. She was broke, he was kind of broke, and my buddy struggled for like 10 years though. So anyways, it's cool to see him kind of having his shine right now. But
that's what's up.
He was like he's like kind of unhappy a little bit. He's happy about the run, but he's like, yo, I want an artist. I want to manage an artist. It's cool doing this with a songwriter, but I want to do it with an artist.
Yeah.
So it's just, that was an interesting idea. I'm like, bro, like routing tours is the worst.
Oh, I'm sure it's got, I can't imagine what that's.
My band that I signed to Elektra, like toured with Imagine Dragons throughout the world. So I remember waking up one morning to, I'm not kidding you, bro, 64 emails, bro. 64 emails.
Holy shit.
Europe, and I had to like fish through like these 64 emails, and I'm like, bro, no. This is not the wave. This is not the wave. So, it's interesting having pivoted in the podcast world, man. I'm like,
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, and that really, I guess, is where I want to go with it. So, what was the straw? I guess we'll call it the straw that broke the camel's back, or the final straw for you saying, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an easy answer. So like, I basically, it's kind of what we alluded to in this interview. I realized how much my fate was really out of my control.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going all in on an artist who has feelings and emotions and problems, and I'm going, and then they get signed to a major label, and the turnover at major labels is horrendous. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally like walking into a rainstorm wearing like, a t-shirt and like, and like
hoping
shorts.
not to get wet.
like I'm good. What am I doing? So, so it was cool. Like when I was in my 20s, I guess, but then, as I got my 30s, I'm like, this is not sustainable. And this is wearing on me. So, then I started a podcast because I'm like seeing everybody, like a lot of peers in the industry, walking around with all this baggage, bro. Like they're all stressed, they're all struggling, nobody's talking about shit. And I'm like, yo, I love to communicate and have real ass conversations. And I was like, yo, let me set up a fucking podcast. I love how I swear so much on this podcast.
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Detroit facts.
Detroit facts, baby. Absolutely, man.
So yeah, but does that make sense? Does that kind of bring it full circle then? Like, so I'm like, yo, let me bring this on. And then, I got all these, I'm blessed to know a lot of really interesting people in the music game, right? So I'm like, I mean, this guy, Steve Lobel, do you know him? He was one of the earlier interviews.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Managed Bone Thugs and Harmony for their whole career, like managed Scott Storch, which is crazy.
Yeah.
After the drug fallout and all that, like he picked him up as a client. So we got to talk a little bit about that, and that was a powerful conversation. So that was on the early side. It was like some like really cool interviews on the early side that just gave me like some wind under my sails. And like now shit's got a little like rhythm to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going on Saturday. I'm interviewing Rick Rubin's like right-hand guy for the last 10 years. That's going to be dope.
Yeah.
I just like grabbing like interesting interviews, but there's a very key word. Not just like resume people, but like, can they like get down and have a real conversation with me?
Oh yeah, no,
like,
that's
not everybody can, bro. Am I right? Not everybody can.
Oh, you're 100% right.
You can have the resume, but you might not be able to do that. Okay.
You're 100% this whole thing too. I mean, before people, at least in like a video medium, people were not having conversations like this. It was like really quick interviews, commercials about to start, have a nice night, that kind of thing. Was very quick. Now we're having these real conversations, which I think people enjoy. They're
like thirsty for that.
Yeah. And they want to see people, whether they're a celebrity or whoever, as a three-dimensional human being.
Be real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So absolutely. But you're right about that conversation. I know like a couple people I've talked to so far, especially if I did not know them prior. It's like, man, how is this gonna go? Am I gonna step on toes? And I remember with Jake, like I kind of talked to him a little bit before, just because there was a previous person I knew before him that had a parent in the, industry, and was, kind of that whole thing. And he was very weird about bringing that stuff up. Like even though he himself wanted to get in the music industry, but he wanted it to be all on his own accord. He didn't want any attachment to who his dad was or any of those accolades, which I get both sides of it. But so, Jake has a very similar situation. So I wanted to make sure I talked to him about that stuff first. And he was like, he's obviously an open book about that stuff. He seems
really open, bro.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes for a good interview only if you sense the person being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise,
100%.
it's a waste of fucking time, right? What are you doing? So, it's dope.
Absolutely, man.
So what do you see for, have you thought about, okay, so when you were a rapper, you're like, I want to have a 4-year run and do this and do this. Do you have a vision for the podcast, future, the future of the podcast and what you're up to? Or are you sort of playing as you go with this?
I think it's a little both. So I still am writing, some TV show and movie ideas. And so that is something at some point I still would like to do. But the conversation, this whole medium is definitely my baby right now. And I do see this as a vehicle, and just kind of like here's what my mind state is right now. And I've been rapping since I was 13 years old. Now, again, back then, really, none of that stuff was ever going to get me anywhere. But I just that's how long it's been since I've been saying, awesome. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, just knocking on doors and doing all this kind of stuff and having this vision, my mind state right now is I'm going to be in there regardless. Whatever I have to do, I'm going to be in there no matter what. I'm going to be in, whether it's the entertainment industry in some regard,
sure.
Being a media person, being someone who's, in the TV show, the Netflix, all that kind of stuff.
Are you gonna do the pod and the next step would be that, like the podcast, and then a step to that? Or are you kind of just doing them really like co-occurring? You're just doing
right both. Now I'm co-occurring, but I want to do the podcast no matter what. I mean, that thing, this whole medium is like, I'm looking at this as kind of like the core. Right. Yeah. And then these little things, hey, I also have this album out. Hey, I'm also on Twitch. Hey, this other thing is going on, like
I love that.
This is the primary vehicle, that's just where I'm at with it.
You're a real creative dude, right? So you can't just kind of limit yourself to one thing.
Oh, absolutely. I could never. Yeah. It's gotta be. Yeah.
That's dope. I love talking to people like that, because it like inspires, it inspires me to be like, all right, what else can I do?
Yeah. And to give you just a little bit more insight in that, originally when the whole COVID thing first happened, that really was for me like a shock to my core. It was like, holy shit, like you could fucking die. Like you could die like today, you could die tomorrow, you could die in a week. And at that time I put my creative shit like away. Like I was like after like 2015, I made an album. I was like, and I had a bad attitude the whole time. I was like, I'm gonna put this album out. If nothing happens with it, then I'm done with it. And just even putting yourself in that mind state is a bad call, right? So that was my thing. Nothing happened with it. I ended up having a kid, and I just go into like, I gotta work, I gotta be an adult, that kind of whole mode. And that's all I was doing, just work, this,
what about
this,
the creativity, like it literally
right, exactly.
Just like,
it was pretty much gone. I ignored it. The ideas constantly happened, but I would ignore it and all that kind of stuff. And then the COVID stuff like shook me, and it was like, look, you could die. And I'm not, at this point in time, I'm not happy doing this because I am a creative person, but I'm just trying to ignore that, for that long. But it was like, no, if I die, like I want to die regardless. I want to do things on my terms. So even from the music aspect, even if that's not generating a revenue or making me a rock star or whatever the case is, I forgot that I love doing that. I love the aspect of creating something, putting something in the world that did not exist there prior to that, so regardless of what that outcome is. And so that's just, it's just like, I got to start doing this. And so my first podcast idea was called Unsigned Cast. And it was all about like interviewing other unsigned artists, which was, dope and stuff like that, and their stories. But it got to the point where we'd be having conversations, and I'd want to kind of talk to them kind of outside of the artist realm. And I felt like too caged in. So I was like, so I tried that for a little bit. And I was like, I do want to just be able to have just way more open conversation. So I was like, I need to come up with something that is not limited to one topic. So what are two things that sound so opposite of each other? And I was like, party and politics. Politics is a serious topic. Party is the opposite, complete opposite, non-serious, telling party stories, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this way it leaves it just open to talk about anything. There's nothing. And I'm a curious person. I am just really curious. That's why I've asked you so many questions. And I genuinely,
do you recognize
want to know.
That's a gift?
I mean, it's I feel like I'm starting to, with this medium and stuff, I feel like I'm starting to kind of be conscious of that a little bit, because I know a lot of people aren't like that, I guess, No,
man, no. I just posted a video about this, about like the shit that comes second nature to us. We don't even register that is a gift. It's just like so natural. But like, it's funny, man. My ex-girlfriend turned me on to that. She's like, because I'm a communicator, just like you, like you're a communicator, right? It's like, and I would just communicate with her in our relationship like really naturally when there was an issue.
Yeah.
And she didn't have it like that, bro. And she
Yeah.
like reminded me, she's like, look, just because you can do that doesn't mean everybody can. I'm like,
Right.
holy shit, like I got a gift here, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, I want you to be aware of that too, man, because I could see it in you. So I think, man, that where you could go with curiosity is like endless, bro. I mean, my mentor from Interscope, the only reason I had a career, bro, at Interscope was because I met my mentor who took me under his wing. And literally, I just interviewed him for my podcast, and I asked him, I was like, yo, what did you see in me that made you want to mentor me? And he literally said, I shit you not, your curiosity. So that
I heard that. Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I heard that. Yeah.
It got me a career. Literally, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he kind of spoke against too. He said the other people are like kind of so like in a box with their thought process, and you weren't. And that, you know, it's one of those things that it's almost like, what do they say? Sometimes the least thought answer is the right one. Some people go to the most common narrative, you know, what they think is the most common answer, but it's not that. It's be yourself kind of thing is really just. And that's 100%. One thing I am starting to come to grips with, you know, like 100%. It's just this world can either take you or leave you, you know, but if you continuously try to be something you're not all the time, the only person you're hurting is yourself. I mean, you're just going to suffer through that.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
So,
and can I share one more thing on that,
on
that same note?
Of course. Absolutely.
Thank you. It said this brilliant quote was like, the thing that we think is so like unique to us, like some issue or problem we're having that's so unique to us, is actually fucking universal. Like,
yeah,
you know, that's crazy. Is actually other people feel similar shit, and we get caught up in our own. Pharrell, Drink Champs interview, can't recommend that enough. Everybody listening to this podcast should go watch that episode. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Crazy episode. And Pharrell was like, our problem is we get too zoomed in. Zoomed in. We got to zoom out. And we get the better. It's just like, man, my friend calls these codes. You got to give the codes up. The codes.
Yeah.
This is like a code to life to me, right? Like if you can remember to zoom out, bro, that's a code. So I want to ask too, bro. Like I love Midwest people, man. What do you think it is that makes us? In my opinion, Midwest people are real approachable for the most part. They're just so damn approachable. You know what is it about the Midwest? Where you have, why is that in your opinion as a Midwestern guy?
So it's interesting. The Midwest is interesting. The culture of us is interesting. And I learned this actually living in LA for a little bit, having that comparison. So I think that we have a mix of all the cultures. I feel like, and probably because at a point in time, the auto industry was so big, people from all over the country were moving there. And so people that just stayed.
But this is true for Chicago and Illinois too, bro, right?
Yeah.
It's true for.
Well, it's a Midwest. It's absolutely a Midwest thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Bro.
You're 100%.
Yeah.
But I think we do. We have that Southern hospitality. We have the East Coast, like I need to get this shit done, and we can be laid back like California and all that. So it's kind of like this hybrid of things. But yeah, I mean,
bro, I'm bowing for the win, bro. Well done.
Yeah, no, it was a funny thing that because when I moved to LA is what, like the second or third biggest city in the entire planet, right? It's
overwhelming,
gigantic.
bro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I figured, when I moved to LA, it was like everyone was gonna think I was too slow or something. Like I was like the old movie where you see that like the hillbilly or someone like from a small town, and everyone's going too fast for them. That whole kind of thing. I thought that's how it was gonna be. But when I was out there, it was like everybody was on like 1 and I was on like 10. And I remember going to the grocery store. And like people would just be getting like a couple things. It would just take people so long. Just like it seemed like everybody was super high, which I'm sure was probably the case. And just like super like just it was like slow motion. It was like and I'm like, dude, come on, man, I got shit to do. Like
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. So that's how that was like a big thing where I was like, oh shit, like we are actually more fast paced than some other people in different regards and stuff like that. And LA has got a very neat culture. I love it. It's just everything's different, and I think and that's what's beautiful about being able to go to these different places.
I love that. Dude, that was, I'm gonna have to like literally make a mental note so I don't forget. I won't forget that. That was amazing. What's been your, how many episodes in are you? Because I got a serious question for you.
This is episode, what did I just have? I recorded episode 7. It's not up yet, so this is episode 8.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, bro, on like fucking storming out of the gates here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
I want to ask you, out of your eight, prior to me, what's been an interview that maybe shifted your mindset the most, or kind of opened your mind the most, out of the 7 interviews then?
Man, I think they all have shifted. I mean, every episode has definitely been a learning experience. The first episode, me and him we've had other podcasts and other conversations. Me and him had a lot of, prior experience with each other. And that was just more of like, me and him getting like these political discussions. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily learned something new from him then, but probably our prior conversation. But everyone after that, like I always have these because I'm a human being, right? You have these preconceived notions about people. It just is what it is, good or bad. And even if some things are unsaid, you get this kind of vibe of who that person is more than anything. And, like Jake, for example, that's a good example to use. Like, I obviously did not know him. Me and him were not friends. We didn't grow up together.
Yeah, I didn't realize that from the interview because you guys seemed really natural.
Yeah. And that's, and just having these, I remember like there's a point in that interview where I realized that I was judging him as someone who grew up rich his entire life. And then I realized like, no, he didn't actually. Like, this is kind of like he spent at least like his childhood really as like a poor, really lower middle class person, and then saw it happen. So it like, that was a huge thing. Like, oh man, he isn't this entire thing that I had in my head. Not that I was saying
you had to like rip away all your preconceived notions. Wow.
Yeah. And that was kind of in my subconsciousness too. I wasn't even aware of it until that conversation was happening.
Yo, then that's a great answer to my question though, right? Because I'm like, yo, what shifted your mind like that? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Both him and his dad are like so approachable, bro. It's just so down to earth. I don't know why, bro, but that's like my favorite quality in a human being.
Oh yeah,
isn't it? It's like
absolutely,
because it's like, I mean, I'll be kind of vulgar here, but literally like go fuck yourself if you like if you think you're better than like it's just such a turn off. It's a turn off, man.
Yeah,
because you are a human being. We're on this journey together.
Yeah, man.
I don't know, but I want to get better, bro. What I'm trying to work on is compassion. Especially since I'm literally getting my master's in psychology right now.
Oh, I feel it, yeah.
I can't be saying, fuck that guy. but the truth is like, everybody's doing the best they can at like their level of evolution. Like we're all, like if you think about yourself 5 years ago, right? There's shit you were doing 5 years ago that you're like, what the fuck was I doing that for?
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure, right?
Exactly. 100%, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm just sort of outing myself right now. Is like, I want to get better with the compassion and be like, man, like they're on their own journey. Like the podcast interview I just dropped, he's like, we see human beings as like computers, like upgrade, hack. He said, really, we're like flowers, bro. We're all blooming in our own time. And absolutely. It's like, you can't yell at the flower. It's not going to grow any faster. And I'm like, yeah, that's very good, bro. So yeah.
And something kind of to add to that, because I saw this, I think it was on social media. I don't know who said it, so I don't want to take credit, but it basically said something like, don't yell at people for doing what you want them to do. And what it talked about is essentially like when we feel like someone's not doing what we want them to do and they finally do it, we say, oh, why are you doing this now? We almost guilt trip them for doing the right thing or whatever we think is the right thing, instead of just being happy.
That just happened.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I told you to do like, like that. Right. And I'm like, man, that's like the most, That's such a dig. I feel like, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
why are you digging at me? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It is a dig for sure, and it's
yeah,
instead of just being happy. Hey, I appreciate that you're doing this. I appreciate that you're opening up, whatever the case is.
for sure. But do you know that has more to do with the other person than it has to do with you? I mean,
Oh,
that
a million
really,
percent.
Yeah.
A million percent.
So it's dope. I mean, one of the things about getting older, because I just turned 40, and I was like, yo, one of the dope things about getting older is you literally get like so much more graceful with life. You're just so much more graceful. It's crazy. So I think getting older is freaking dope, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's dope. I'm sure you would agree, like kind of like in line with what we were just saying. Like 5 years ago, you're thinking like, what the fuck was I thinking 5 years ago?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean,
having more and more of those moments.
Yeah, no, I talked one of my podcasts. I talked about me being younger, and like when I met that person, I was younger, and then I was talking about a story even before that, and I was like, man, if you thought I was a douchebag when you met me, like who I was even before that. Like, so yeah, I would have, if I met the 20-year-old me or the 25-year-old me, I would
even talk to that guy. You wouldn't talk to that guy, probably.
Yeah, no, I would. So yeah, it's the growing experiences, the different things. I mean, it is what it is, and it's one of those things that I'll never forget. This one of my dad's like best friend that he had, his name was Tom. He died a few years ago, but he was like one of the most nicest human beings I ever met in my life, and he said there's like I would have these ideas and these thoughts, and I would be so positive that I was right about this, and he would disagree with me, but he wasn't mean about it. He was just like, I'm telling you, when you get older, you're gonna think differently about this. You're gonna think differently.
So cliche,
and
bro.
and it's just true. I mean, it's just, when you go through it, and it's funny how confident we are as younger people that haven't gone through these things.
Woo! So much so, man. So much so where I was like, my friend manages like she's literally like 20-year-old artist, 20. She got the whole world figured out, bro. She got the whole world. You can't tell her shit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm just like, man, it's like, you know how silly that is, right? Now seeing like a 20-year-old person.
Oh yeah.
They got it all figured out, but.
Yeah. No, I think I mean, the closest thing I had to like really seeing that was when I was working with, the person I'm referencing that I was kind of comparing to Jake and stuff, who, his dad was successful in the industry and all that. We were recording, on one of our projects at his house. He's got this, $1 million studio, like, the Grammy Award, he has an Oscar, a Grammy, all this stuff. And I just was like, oh, I made it. I was 19 years old at the time.
And you were working with this guy, and you thought you made it. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, that's it. Like, you could not tell me shit. My dad, like, no, like, I was still living at home at the time, nobody could tell me shit. Like, I was like, I would laugh at people. Like, I'd be like, you have no idea who you're talking to right now. Like,
I knew you had that Khaled energy, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's
yeah. So.
Like, your price just went up. Remember when you see what I'm saying? You had that moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, my ego was like, it was just too big to even contemplate.
Oh,
and
God. I'm so happy you said that though. No, that's hilarious, bro. But I'm so happy you said that, because when I interviewed Jeff Bass, I was like, yo, this guy's got the Oscar, he's got the this or whatever. He's like, my least favorite thing is ego. It's like, it's so cool, man. He's like, you can't do shit alone. And then he said, like, we're like herd animals. I'll never forget it. We're like herd animals, and we just work better together. And I'll tell you what, what I learned in my first iteration doing, my management stuff, I did that for like maybe 5-6 years. And it's like that African proverb says that, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I didn't get that. I didn't get that at that time. And I was like, trying to do everything myself. But I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm just literally gonna run the ball down the field. But
absolutely,
it's a team sport.
Yeah.
Right. And so now, I got this like incredible social media kid who's kind of partners with me, and we're just zooming. Just like literally zooming. It's incredible. So have you always, because you were just sharing with me very honestly about your ego.
Yeah.
Being like, yo, I'm the man. Well, I can't imagine somebody that thinks like that wanting to like collaborate or wanting to partner with anybody, right? Were you against like, partnering and shit then for much of your life?
That's an amazing question. So because I've always like had this vision in my head of who I was going to be, and like, again, by the time, because I told you I started doing this at 13, 13, 14, even 15, wasn't like super confident about it. By the time I'm 16, I'm like, oh, I'm getting a record deal. I was thinking I was going to get a deal before I even graduated high school. Like that was like, I was like, this is where I was. Now at this point, I haven't actually met any important people or any industry people or anything like that. No industry
people. Yeah.
Zero industry people. But it's just, it was like, I was starting to get the local props, and it was like one of those things where, you get like one compliment, two compliment, three compliments, and it just becomes those compliments when you don't get any they mean so much more, right? They just become
facts.
Like,
yeah, that's facts.
And so that's how it became. And I was like, oh man, I make some dope shit. Like this is dope shit. This is like, it was like, this is going somewhere. And so I was always like a solo artist, but I would work with other people. But it's like, I'm a solo artist. That was always my mind state, but I would collaborate. Now, around the time that this whole thing is happening, that I'm talking about when I was 19, I actually was with a dude, and we had a rap group, and it was just me and him, equal kind of thing. At least I thought it was equal.
At least
and this is kind of it's kind of funny how this is all turns. But so we do a project, and it gets decent local buzz. I mean, there's people from pretty much all around Metro Detroit have heard of it. We sold, a decent amount of local albums and stuff like that.
Metro Times and shit back to you, that whole thing, right? Metro Times, that was like the one you wanted to get in, right?
Yeah, Metro Times, Real Detroit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're we're making a little bit of a name for ourselves on the local scene. And that's when this person who his dad was, he stumbled upon our album somehow and was like, oh, I'd love to work with you guys. How about you guys record your like next project with me kind of thing? I'm trying to like get better, all that kind of stuff. And so it was like, oh man, this is a go. So that starts happening. And what I didn't realize is because before the first project happened, I was the leader in that, but I didn't think I was the leader. I thought I was being very like open arms and very like, this is both of our thing, but really it was me leading it. And it was just him kind of being on the ride. And then, so we start doing that. And this is a person he knows from high school. Right. So now it's kind of home court advantage for him. And sense. I start kind of feeling like the odd man out a little bit. And I noticed that they obviously have a better relationship. So then the dynamic starts shifting, right? And I'm like, wait, why am I not the main star of this show anymore? Like it just, so all this kind of stuff and yeah. And so me and him, man, we just went through it. Like it was just button heads all the time and all that kind of stuff. And he didn't like, and I see his perspective. I see all these different perspectives in different ways, but I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be like, rock star level famous. That's just what my mindset was at that time. He was fine with just being like a Brother Ali atmosphere. Like, hey, let me make a living off of this. That's cool. No need to rush it.
He wanted Eminem level. He wanted atmosphere.
Yeah, right? Like that was where it was at. And so I'm like, look, this is a person that's producing our album. This is who his dad is. We got to be kind of aggressive and like talk to him and say, hey, like, can we get some contacts? Like, can we put this music to some places? He did not want to do that. And I didn't, and he's like, it's going to seem like we're using them. And I was like, I totally get where you're coming from. And I don't, it's not my intention to use anybody, but you got to look at the odds. What is the likelihood that we're going to be around this person with this status ever again, ever, And what was happening is that person who we were recording with, he was going off to Columbia in Illinois at the end of the summer. So it was like the clock's running out, right? And it got to the point where me and my partner, we kept having this disagreement about this conversation. And finally, it's like one of our last recording sessions of the summer. And I'm like, look, if I don't, it's kind of do or die in my head, right? It's either I could be like, hey, I want to have manners and, not say anything and just let, this whole thing go. Or I just got to be that person that's assertive and say something. Yeah. And so I do. And I'm like, hey, you know, this has been an awesome experience. Really appreciate it. And kind of, hey, is there any way we can kind of, you know, get this sent up the ladder a little bit? You know what I mean? And I could tell he was kind of put off by it and was like, hey, I want to make my own name. I don't want to use, and I respect it. And I could tell that he kind of felt a certain way about me bringing that up. But at the same time, it was like, what else? What are you going to do? If this is like your only, like you're like, I have to do this by any means necessary. I have to get there. And I may never meet somebody of this caliber again, you know? So it's one of those things even to this day, because I know that did kind of unfortunately hurt my relationship with the other guy. But I just felt like I have to roll the dice. I have no other option but to roll the dice in this moment. You know, the Lose Yourself song's playing, you know?
You had one shot. Yeah, dude. I mean, I really respect that though, because people that go for it like that, it takes a lot of courage, man, to go for shit. So I'll never get tired of hearing stories like what you just shared. And man, I bring people on the podcast all the time, you know what I mean, to talk about this shit, bro. So thank you for sharing that. That's dope.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably been in both sides of the seat with that, with you being in the business. People that may feel like, hey, is he gonna think like I'm using him if I give him my demo? Like, I'm sure you've been in both, you know, both sides.
Yeah. No, for sure, dude. I've been on both sides of it. And I remember, like, dude, I had an artist I was managing from Canada, and they were in town, and I put them up at my place, and like, I just wanted to turn it off, bro. I was like going nonstop. I think I had 3 artists. My point is like, I just remember one of those dudes in the band. He just kept going, bro. I'm like, I already said, like, it was like 9:00 on like a Monday night. I'm like, nothing was going on at that point.
Yeah.
Let's not talk shop right now, bro.
Yeah.
So people do. And then I've had people sweat me. One of the funniest things, bro, was my mentor, who you heard the episode, Gwen Stefani guy.
Yeah.
Like some manager was hitting up his office like nonstop, bro. And I was kind of like his right hand. We did everything together. So I feel like I answered the phone. It was so funny. And he's like, yo, is Tony there? I was like, man, he's not here. And he's like, tell him I'm going to take him out to the Ivy, which is like the fanciest. You know about the Ivy? It's like the fanciest where all the celebrities go and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not walking out of there for like less than like $450, $500 a plate.
Yeah.
Or $500 a bill. And and I'm like, Tony, they want to take you, or they want to take me to the Ivy or something. What do I do? And he's like, order the lobster. I thought that was so funny, because that's how much this guy was sweating.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just feel like you have to know, you know what I've always said, bro, because I haven't been that guy, but I've had to push for my artists when I was managing them. So I feel like there's a fine line between persistence and annoying. Do you know what I mean? And I
know 100%. And trying to figure out where that line is not easy line, sometimes.
Right? Yeah. And that's why it's an art form. I swear to God, it's an art form, knowing where that line is. So yeah, bro. I don't know. As we're talking, bro, I'm just so grateful, though. So grateful to be outside. I've left the music business, and I'm like so incredibly grateful, because it is, bro. Like it no matter what level you're at, there's a lot of gunfire in the music business. There just is. Like, you know, there's
unfortunately literal too.
Yeah. Hey, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing. But I was talking about like the metaphorical gunfire.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Yeah, and you just can't. It's like, you know, it's like who you thought was like your homie turns funny when the money comes, and like it's just crazy.
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be more kill or be killed than almost any. Because the way that you're explaining it, I have to imagine there's a shitload of turnaround. It's like
this. It's like this. All right, check this out. So over the last, I'm not alone in this, but because everybody's been looking at the stock market, am I right? There's like there's like more traders now than ever before, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I've always said recently is fear makes for a fucked GPS system.
Mhm.
It makes for it does. So when you're trading something or something, like shit could go down, but it'll come back up and just chill. And
Yeah.
people's fear in the stock market fucks them up. So I just feel like in the music industry, dude, the reason why there's so much chaos is because so many people are being run by fear.
Oh, I'm
If
sure,
you're the
yeah.
guy at the label, bro, you're being run by fear because you don't want to lose your job. If you're the artist, you're being run by fear because this is your one shot to make it. You know, if you're the manager, which I was, you're being run
Yeah.
by fear because you think your artist is gonna fire you. A lot of
Yeah.
managers feel like that, you know what I mean? So it's like, dude, everybody's being run by fear. And that's why there's so much fucking chaos. And I've never said it like that before, but that's absolute facts.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that sheds a lot of light on, people that are outsiders and stuff like that. And even thinking about why someone, because you brought up the metaphorical gunfire, but to kind of link it to the literal, like, because as an outsider, you're like, okay, these people are already crazy, successful, famous. Why would this even happen?
yeah.
But as you kind of talked about earlier about the griminess of just signing an artist just to prevent them from, going up against who you want your premier artist to be, that mindset probably exists on so many levels. And with how small of a hole it is to even be on that, like, you're a showcased artist, you're on the radio, you're on TV, and like that, it could all be gone. And okay, all of a sudden the focus is on this new guy, so it's, I can see how that fear and all that just unfortunately drives every
do you
level.
agree fear makes for a bad advisor? Like, fear's a terrible advisor.
Yeah, no, it's it's not the right way to do so. It's not a good decision maker. You should do something because it's something you want to do. And that's my 5-year experience. 100%.
Listen, bro, absolutely. And I heard somebody say, this guy was a business manager. He's like, if I get an upsetting email, he's like, I won't do shit for like probably 5 hours. I'll make sure I sit and give myself time, because otherwise you're just reactive. Like, you're just in, maybe you get a little fear, maybe you get a little anger, whatever. It's like that shit clouds good judgment. Do you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, it
no,
does.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, man. Yeah. So it's definitely been like crazy and delightful, man. This has been a really awesome thing.
It's been my pleasure, man. Thank you very much. You're a great interviewer, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So what's next for your for the platform? Detroit Facts.
We gonna build out the platform, baby.
We're gonna build out the platform.
Grammys 2022.
Grammys, baby. Oscars. The Tonys.
The Tonys. Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, man. I'm having a little run right now, and I'm just here's what I'll say, bro. I want to leave the listeners with this. Whatever you do, there's gonna be the most key thing above all with anything you do, bro. One word: consistency. Consistency. If you can be consistent, shit will work out for you. I'm telling you, because 98.5% of motherfuckers aren't consistent.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So you're playing in a pool of like 1.5% of the population, bro.
Yeah.
So, and it's not easy, man. There's some days I don't feel like, sending shit to my social media guy or whatever. I don't feel like editing, bro. I don't know how long you spend on editing, but I spend like 5 hours editing my podcast. Because I want to trim all the fat. I want to make sure it's just the best it could be. So anyways, my point is just consistency. And I think the sky's the limit. And I'm excited to fucking keep doing what I'm doing. And thank you for, I'm happy you listened to an episode, man. I'm glad.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely had a couple in the chamber for sure. Absolutely, man. It's been awesome. I'm gonna leave you with 2 questions.
Let's do it.
And then we'll wrap it up. So, because I know people that I know that are artists and other things like that are gonna, throw me off a balcony if I don't ask this. So this is gonna be the last question about obviously the A&R life that you left behind and all that.
Yes.
But you did collect information. So if people like, what is the best advice you would give to an artist that is trying to just get to that room?
It's a great question. I would say be as much of who you are as you can be, and that'll be the quickest way for you to get ahead. Because otherwise, when you're copying or trying to emulate something, it like rips away all the fucking magic. So I would say just be the most you that you can be. That's absolutely, man.
Yeah. So that's perfect, man. Yeah, and I think that that's one thing I see with artists that try to do something that's already on the radio. It's like that's already been done. By the time you do something, it's going to be something else. So you can't be doing that. So we recognize it as not real, in my opinion.
Yeah. People have a good sense for authentic. People do. So
yeah, absolutely, man. So now with this, like, you know, you asked me earlier on, like, where I want to take what my whole vision is from the podcast, anything on. So for you, what is that? What is the grand vision? As far out as you can see, what is the ultimate, like, where are you trying to take it?
I'm going to try and do a deal with Spotify or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We play it big over here, baby.
Yeah.
no, I feel
Detroit facts.
Yeah, Detroit facts. No, I feel like, why not, bro? I mean, honestly, like, I see us as we're you know, creators or whatever we are, artists in this lane. Yeah. And I feel like there's companies out there now, like record labels, like, that sign artists. Well, we're the artists that are getting signed by Spotify or whatever.
And those are the new labels, basically.
Those are the new labels for podcasters. So like, I'm just trying to go get this, you know, give me that like quick, like, you know, whatever, $200 a year. I'll do that. I'll be very happy, bro. Money. Give me that Spotify check. So that's kind of how I feel. And I don't see any reason why that shit can't happen because I'm so fucking motivated, you know.
100%, man.
I spend 35 hours a week on this shit, bro. Like it's cake. So
yeah, and you inspired me, man, just from what I heard, because I'm obviously coming in this earlier on than you are and getting to hear your stuff, and that curiosity, you said that, you know, that episode where it was said and you acknowledged it, and man, is that, you know, that's just the nail.
You recognize it as a gift now, right? I just hope I help.
No, it's
a gift. Yeah.
You're 100% right, man. So I appreciate that, man. So
I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Good. It's so
we'll have to touch base again, and
we will. You know, let's stay in touch, bro. Happy to, and I'm gonna throw you that clubhouse invite.
Oh, definitely, man. Get in the club. A VIP, pop some bottles.
See, don't you miss LA, bro? I feel like you know, LA just takes away the box, in my opinion. Don't you agree? Like you said, like when you're in the Midwest, there's a lot of incredible things about the Midwest. I'm not going to discount that, but the one thing that's there is the box, in my opinion. So
absolutely, man. LA is good at making everybody feel like a superstar, man.
It is. Just that I love that anything is fucking possible, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
I remember being drunk at a party once with like a couple Interscope friends that just moved here, and they're like, "Bro," they said something like, "Can we do that?" And I was tipsy at the time. I was like, "This is LA. We can do anything."
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, it's kind of true. It feels like that. So
it does feel like that.
I'm glad you agree. And my whole thing is like, dude, I just want to, I always want to try and get back. You know what I mean? So I just feel like if as opportunities come my way, I just love like, just like, yo, here's an opportunity feeding people, bro. Because in my opinion, like it's rare to see people that are doing, you know, that are progressing. That's the word. People that are progressing that don't get caught up in ego. Like honestly, it's kind of rare. So I want to be one of those dudes that like as I progress, I want to be in that group that like hands opportunities and shit back. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And I feel like you're that guy too. Man. And I feel like you're that guy too, man. You know?
Oh yeah.
Spotify comes knocking on your door with something eventually. I just feel like you're gonna do whatever you can probably to help some people too. So
I want to build I want to build an empire, man. So let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
Detroit facts.
Go. Detroit facts, baby. Coney Island. Let's get it. Chili dogs.
Bob Lobo. Remember that shit?
Oh yeah, Bob Lobo.
That's awesome. Dude, much love, bro. I'm happy.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep me posted. I can't wait to listen to this, bro. Let me know when this comes out.
Like absolutely, man.
Call me Robin.
Be easy, man.
Been on my shit, not the potty. Sick of staying in, I wanna party. Won't apologize for being me, I'm sorry. You can call me, I think you my type of feast. You know that us thick boys like to eat. Yes, we do. Chabella poi, vanilli qui. Turn the heat up, ignite the street, thick boy summer. tip-top form. Been in the crib like I just got born. Is that your girl? Tell her hit my phone. She can press record, get a TikTok on. Thick boy summer, thick, 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 thick boy summer. She like I'm thick, thick, thick boy summer, thick, thick boy summer, thick, thick boy summer. The summer is thick, thick boy summer, thick, 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 thick boy summer. She like I'm thick, thick.